start with B32. We are going to be underpainting. So I'm looking for what is on top of something else. What would give us some shade or shadow? Underpainting is going to give us shade and shadows, depth. We are going to be able to see things like on 3D. So if you can see, I'm being very, very careful. This is a new nib. The image is, well, it's a large image, but each little pod of the, what is this? The raspberry. There's tiny, but I do want to underpaint pretty much all of them, whatever it needs to be underpainted. Like right here, you see I'm making tiny bitty strokes. I build a fence, as you saw right there, and then I flick away from it. Tiny bitty flicks, fast. This is when I say that the speed matters when you're underpainting and when you're coloring with Copics, of course. The first marker that I always use is the one that I underpaint with. So I'm underpainting here, and that is the fastest that I flick. Tiny bitty flicks. Now we're gonna find some spots where there's nothing, you're not even gonna be able to see the pod. It's like under everything else. So that is going to be very dark. So I pretty much underpaint the whole thing, and then on top of it we're gonna add R27. But this is how we underpaint. Usually you will see me underpaint one little pot and then go on top of it with all the markers, with the 3 markers that I'm using. I am trying to change that so you can actually see how it will look when you underpaint first. You could wait until next day to continue playing with your markers and coloring this image. I recommend that you don't, because it might be a little bit harder to actually cover B32. Even though B32 is a pretty low marker, it has a lot of oh my God, what is the name of that thing that we use? It has a lot of colorless blender. But I would recommend that you, if you're gonna underpaint everything first, then you color everything the same day. So this is R27. I am lying. This is RV29. So I am being very, very careful. That part you saw, it's all R29 because it's like a tiny bitty piece of a pod under. Now we're going with R37 and RV14. Yes, it's all over. You know, first we go with RV29, then with R37, but I needed this pink with a little bit of red, and at the end I needed it to be pretty light. So I make a fence and I'm gonna flick away from it, making sure I do cover all of B32 with RV29. Why? Because B32, I found it to underpaint R29, not at R37 or RV14. It might be able to be covered with R37, which I think it will, but I wanted to cover with RV29. So when we color, you can see now I'm going kind of slow here because I want to make sure that my pots look round. Out of practice, so I'm trying to flick away, not all the way to the edge. And And then I'm gonna do this with RV14. I'm gonna go over it, just making sure that my pot looks round. So when I flick away, as you can see on this one, I'm gonna flick with RV29. This is R37. And at the end, I'm gonna flick with RV14. I am not going all the way to the end with the flicks. I am just gonna go over it so it looks more straight and I don't make it look all crazy. In this one, I leave just a tiny bitty space because it's small. We're not gonna have a lot of light there. This little pot, this little bitty part was only with RV29 and R37. So this is a perfect image for you to practice. Underpainting, flicking, making things look round. This is R37 and, no, I'm sorry. Yes, I made a mistake on this one. I started with R37. And if you see my markers are dirty, I just cleaned them. Like literally that morning, I cleaned them. This is RV29, flicking away from it. R37. And a little bit for RV14. Now, we have B32. We have to cover it with RV29. RV37 is gonna be on top of those two. Don't start later, don't start after when RV29 ends. We are going on top of it. And RV14 is gonna do the same. And you're gonna think, oh, but it's kinda wash off my image. A little bit, but it looks so much better. The blend is beautiful. This is RV29. I don't use RV29 much. So when I grabbed it this morning, it was kind of dry. So I had to refill it. And yes, I'm wearing my glasses because I didn't want to, and then I did need them to because I couldn't see anymore. That is R37, and we ended with, look, right here you're gonna be able to see that I didn't flick. I just went over it because I wanted to look round. We're flicking away again. RV29. Ugh, did I skip R37? It looks like it. So you're gonna see that there's like little sticks or like the end of the raspberry. On each raspberry is supposed to be like a little stem going out. Do not worry about it, just color on top of it. Later on, we are gonna fix that because we want them to be the color they're supposed to be, which is like a light golden color or something like that. This is where I'm telling you that when they're tiny and they're like in behind a bunch of them, we are only using RV29 and then R37. Flicking away, flick away again, and RV14. A couple of days ago, you're gonna be seeing this, it's gonna be all over. It's gonna be the same technique, all the raspberry. So instead of boring you with, and this, I read a post by Art by Rina, and it's RHIA. I'm gonna link her post in the comments. And it is about how she is criticized for, she's a professional artist, and she's criticized because sometimes she doesn't use professional products. I use Copics and that's all I use, but that's how I learn to use alcohol markers. But I do use different kind of paper. And she talks about how there is no wrong way to do art, no wrong materials, no wrong techniques. Now, for me, I want to show you the easiest way, and it will be with the Express It paper and the Copic markers. But I am never going to sell my art. I am never going to have a, gallery is never going to show whatever I color. So to me, this is relaxing. Like these raspberries, the little pots, they're so relaxing because you go one by one. You do the same. It's the same technique. It doesn't have, you don't have to know so much. You don't have to be advanced to actually do this. It is a lot of steps, but you don't have to be advanced. So at the end of the day, when I color, it is a hobby. It is something that I do to relax. But there is a lot of artists that will tell you this is the way it has to be done. And if you do not do it this way, then you're doing it wrong. You can't relax wrong. I don't think you can relax wrong. And I agree with her that the coloring is for fun, relaxing, entertaining, with everything that we have in life going on. Me right now, we're having our floors fixed, removed, and new floors because it was really this house needed new floors. That's stressful because the house is all dusty, and I love that I can just come and relax with the markers and just have fun. For about 2 years, I didn't touch Copics because they became work. So let's not do that again. Let's make sure that we are having fun doing this. So I or you, or and if you want to change to do something else, you can. And if you just want to swatch, then swatch. I love swatching with watercolors. I don't know how to paint with watercolors, but swatching is so much fun. So it's the same thing with Copics. Anyway, so now you can see in this raspberry how we are starting to see the shape, form, and depth that we are giving to this strawberry. That's not the strawberry, that's the raspberry. So we're flicking away and flicking away again. And now we're gonna finish it with RV14. Sometimes when my markers are 14 grams, I just let it be. But RV14, I needed it to be a little bit more juicy because that's the one that I'm gonna go the slowest with. That's the one that is gonna help us do the blend. So, I mean, they're all gonna help us do the blend, but we are going slower with it and it's gonna use more ink. So I wanted it to be juicy so the blend is easier and I don't have to go over again. I usually don't go over the projects twice. I go one time and that is it. I don't need to use that much ink, and you know ink is expensive unless you buy it with us and it's not expensive. So this is really fast just because you already saw what I'm doing. We're starting with, well, it's already underpainted with B32, RV29, R37, and RV14. But sometimes when I watch these videos and they jump from half of the fruit done and then all of a sudden is done, it kind of feels like not done. So anyway, I'd rather you just continue seeing this until we finish this little part, and then we start with the Blackberry. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. Do you have any questions? Do you have any suggestions for what to color next time? I think next I have a couple of flowers or something. But if you want something else, or if you want me to try a different colors, then let me know in the comments and I will read them. I read them as soon as you put them there. I pretty much read them. And this part I kind of forgot to underpaint. Now underpainted it and that's it. Now we are underpainting the Blackberry with G94. It took me a while to actually choose which color I'm gonna use to underpaint. I wanted it to be seamless, but I also needed it to be very, very dark. These little parts that you see that I'm doing, those are gonna be the parts of the Blackberry that we actually don't see the whole pod. So it's behind 2, 3, 4 pods. So it's gonna be just a little bit. So that's gonna be really dark. That's why you see that I'm pretty much blocking those spaces. That one I'm gonna use BV29, very dark color. I had it already at 13.5 grams and I only refilled it to 13.9, I think, something like that, because I was afraid that if I refill it too much, it's gonna destroy my thing. It's gonna be dripping, and I did not want to risk it because it's such a dark color. As you can see in our series all about, I used to have is it gonna stain or not? Everything with Copics stains. You cannot erase it. You can push it a little bit, but you do not erase it. So because this Blackberry is gonna be pretty dark, I went with BV29, 25, and 23. Now, when you see it, it looks like really, really dark. When I finished it, it looked really, really dark, and I thought, it doesn't look like I have shape. But the thing is, when you have a dark surface, then you can add the highlights. That's what I did with this one, and I loved it. I loved it at the end. So here we're underpainting with G94 again, because it's a small image, small pots. I decided that I needed a new nib. Remember, my markers, many of them have not been touched for 2 years, so that's why. So I am going very carefully here. That was BV29, BV25, and then we're gonna end with BV23. We're underpainting here. Remember, the Blackberry is under the raspberry, so of course it's gonna be pretty dark right there. And I know you can see now, I already colored 2 pots, and you can see it very well. You can make the difference between one and the other. You don't know where one starts, when one ends. Now in person you can see it, but I could see, this is gonna be a problem. What am I gonna do? I already started, and I did practice before, but they did look pretty good until I saw them in the camera, and I think it's the lighting, but hopefully when you do it, you don't panic, and you'll see that it starts looking pretty nice. Again, the same technique, very easy, very step by step. Okay, let's go step by step. We already underpainted with G94. On top of it, we're gonna go with BV29. That means that BV29 has to cover G94. On top of it, covering all of it, is gonna be BV25. And right on the top, BV23, which is gonna be all the way to where you finish the little pot. If you notice, when we underpaint, it's because something is on top of the other. And we want it to be kind of muddy, so it looks like it's far away from us. So every time that you see underpainting, right under, there's gonna be a pot that is, the lightest part is gonna be touching it. That's how you're gonna be able to see the difference, the different pots, you know, how you see one when one starts and where one ends. This is BV29. It's a very dark space. So I did use actually the 3. This little part, I think I'm only gonna use BV29 because I want it to be pretty dark. This is another of the pots, BV29, BV25, and at the end, 23. Do not flick all the way to the end with BV23. Because if you go all the way to the end, at least I am not that exact, it will go over the next spot. And we want the part that is underpainted to not have as much colorless blender, because BV23 is gonna have more colorless blender. And you're already touching it when you go over, when you do all your flicks. So if you use it again, it's gonna start showing the coloration, and that's not what you want in your dark spots. That is BV23. Now you go again. Now, if you do not want to do the whole fruit, you don't want to do the whole blackberry, don't underpaint the whole blackberry. Underpaint just a little bit, maybe 5 of them, and then paint those. Or if you want to do the traditional way that I used before, that means that you're going to have 4 markers in your hand: G94, BV29, BV23, and BV20. No, wait. Let's start again. G94, BV29, BV25, and BV23. You will have the 4 markers in your hand. It is possible, my hand is not very big and I'm able to do it. But this time I wanted to do it this way. I just make sure that I underpainted it, and within an hour, I actually painted the blackberry and the strawberry too. You see the one right in the middle, it has no underpainting. I didn't want to do an underpainting on that one. Actually, this one either. But I chose where it will have the shadow. Like this one right in the middle. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start on one side, which is gonna be the left side, I think. We'll see if I do that. This is BV23. Let's see. And okay, now I'm avoiding it, I think. That is BV29 because it's under actually 2 of the pots. So I'm using a lot of the 29, then a lot of the 25, and just a little bit of the 23. This one is also a small one that is under 2 of the pots. Let's see. And I actually started on the bottom. And we're gonna go on top with BV23. Do you see it now? How it doesn't look round. The pots do not look very round. And I couldn't understand why. What was happening? Why is it they don't look round? Because I'm looking at it in my paper and it looks round. But I'm also looking at it in the camera and it didn't look round. So at this moment, I'm panicking because I'm thinking, what's happening? Why is it not looking the way it should look? But don't worry, I can fix it with pencil. I can always fix everything with pencils. And it really did not need a lot of fixing. It's just that I wanted it to look like the raspberry. The raspberry looks so good. It looks so three-dimensional. That's what I wanted with the Blackberry. So we're underpainting here. And then we're gonna do BV 29, 25, and we're gonna end it with BV 23. Last two. Being very careful because I do not want it to go over the strawberry. The last one, underpainting, and then on top of it we're doing BV 29, 25, and BV 23. So now we're gonna start with the strawberry. There's so many berries. Anyway, so I'm underpainting. This is gonna be B32. The strawberry is under the blackberry, so of course it's gonna have shadow on top of it. So we're gonna have that there, and then it's gonna have some in the bottom because it's kind of like squished down. If you see right in the bottom, it looks like it has two little feet. I made a mistake there. I am pushing the ink inside the strawberry. I didn't want the blue to be on the outside. So remember, you cannot erase it, but you can push it. We're starting with R27. The image, now this image is kind of large, and I needed my markers to be very, very juicy because I needed to go fast. I needed the ink to be going pretty deep into the paper because I wanted the blend to go well and fast. So the more ink, the better your blend is gonna look. Of course, do not overfill your markers because then you're gonna have a lot of drops going everywhere. So we're using R27, R24, and R22. Now, the base is where the leaf is. So that means that we are gonna be coloring towards the base, towards the leaf. So this is R27. And we're gonna flick away from the fence. Try not to touch the leaf. It's pretty difficult, but yeah. It's still R27. I'm gonna start swishing here because it's a large image. This is R24. I am going on top of R27 using a lot of ink. A little bit more and a little bit more. And now, very carefully, we're gonna go with R22. Of course, the leaf is gonna be green. We don't wanna be using, we don't want the red to go into the leaf because it's gonna be very difficult to remove it. The R20s are very stubborn colors, very strong colors. So if you make a mistake and it goes somewhere else, it's gonna be very difficult to remove or even to push. This is R22. And I'm going, of course, this is faster than when I color, but I am going pretty fast because I want the ink to be wet when all the ink is already there. This is YG17, one of my favorites. On top of it was YG03 and then YG21. YG21 is gonna be like in the middle. it makes like a circle around the little stem. If you look at the photo reference, you're gonna see that the leaves look like they are darker on the sides, and then when it goes in towards the stem, it's lighter. So that is why I'm doing this. At this point, I am looking at the photo reference all the time. I do not trust what I believe to be the color. I need to see it and follow what I see. Because if I do that, then even if in my mind it doesn't make sense that I would start the leaf on this, at the end of it will be darker, because I am used to do it from the bottom to the top, and it's always YG17 and then YG03. This is what I see. So follow what you see in your photo reference. We're almost done. This is one of my favorite parts. I am using a water base paint from Sharpie in white. I'm using the extra fine point. So I am, remember when I told you not to worry about painting over the little stems? Okay, and that is why, because we were going to do this later. We're gonna paint on top of this white paint. It's like chalk, well, kind of like shiny chalk, kind of plasticky, but it's gonna stay there. And then once it's dry, you can use a little bit of your Copics on top of it. So it's gonna give you that color, whatever color you choose. So right now what I'm doing is I am looking at another image that I had printed and did not finish. So tiny mistake, I lost the film where I show you, where I use the water base paint white extra fine point Sharpie. You see all those little things, that is with the Sharpie. And now once it's dry, it's been dry for about 2 hours. It's been drying for about 2 hours. I'm going to use, for the strawberry, I'm using YR23. That's what I'm using for the strawberry. I'm also gonna use it for the raspberry. So you just have to go one little line and that's it. It's gonna give the color that you can see in the photo reference. Remember when I told you don't worry about the little lines, just color on top? That's because we were gonna use the Sharpie. So I know that the Sharpie will cover whatever else you have there. Now for the Blackberry, I'm using YR27 because the little pods, the stems are a little bit darker. So now we're gonna push and pull. We're gonna push whatever we see that is far away. This is dark purple. I'll give you the number right now. So every time, do you remember when we underpainted? So go in there and then use a little bit in the corners where you think it will be the farthest place in the raspberry. So let me look for the pencil so I can tell you exactly what pencil it is. I mean, I know what pencil it is, I just don't remember the number. It's dark purple and it's PC 931 from Prismacolor Pencils. So this is what I'm doing. I'm looking for those little bitty spaces where I think, okay, this is where a few of them meet. This is under something else. So where you imagine, okay, there should be some shadow here, we're gonna push it away from us with dark purple. So we're gonna push it, and when it's gonna start giving us that 3D look. Even right now, you can start to see where I already used the pencil and where I didn't. So we're going to underpaint with the B32, I believe we used on this one. And we are going to overpaint. And that's what we are doing right now with the dark purple. This is the pencil that I sell the most in the store. Now I am going with PC 1081 Chestnut. That is just to give a little bit more dimension to the stems. So like kind of like on the top, I'm doing a little bit of like an end, like a circle. Now we're gonna pull something that is gonna look that is closer to us. For that, I am using white. It's the white pencil from Prismacolor Pencils, and it is PC 938. I am looking at the photo reference. Sometimes it doesn't make sense what I'm looking at because I see shine where I don't think it should be. But just follow the photo reference. That's it. This is a photo. This is how it really looks. So if you see two little lines of white here, just use it. Just put it there. Later on, if it doesn't work out, remember this is pencil, we can erase it. White is pretty easy to erase. So that's what I'm doing. Where would where would light shine in this raspberry? So that's what I'm doing. And when you do this, it's not gonna look white. It's gonna look just a little bit lighter to what the previous color has. So it's gonna be just little parts of the raspberry that look lighter. So we're going pot by pot, one by one. Now we're gonna go with the blueberry. It's not a blueberry, it's a blackberry. Okay, so the blackberry, I am using indigo blue, PC 901. We're doing the same. We're gonna push away whatever we think it's far away, and in a little bit we're gonna pull away from everything else. So I'm also trying to give a little bit more shape to the pots because to me they didn't look exactly round. So I'm going over a little bit of the lighter color, the one we use with BV23 in some parts, just to kind of give them more shape and shadow. So we're going there. Remember, the blackberry is under the raspberry. So it's going to need to look like it is under. So go around. You could actually go around every single one of the pots for the blackberry and make it look more round. Why is it that I didn't do it right there? I don't know. Maybe where I'm doing, now that I'm looking at it, I should have, but I didn't. And now we're gonna be doing the same thing we did with this raspberry. We're gonna use PC 938 white. We're gonna add some of the shadows. Now the shadows on, not the shadows, I'm sorry, the shine that we see in the blackberry, they look kinda like a square, like a little square, like a little triangle in all the parts. So that's what I'm trying to mimic. A little bit of that. Some are like half moons. Like this one has, no, that one is like a little square, little triangles. A moon. So I can't tell you exactly what to do in each one of the pots. That's why you have the photo reference. You can look at it and say, I think that she should have put more shine in this side or more on this other side, or she missed this part. Go ahead and do it. I would love to see your coloring. I would love to see your image. So go and post it in our website, in our Facebook. If you want me to tell you what I think you could do to make it look better, please tell me in the comments. Now, I am using, again, the water-based paint in white extra fine point Sharpie. Why? Because I feel that it needed a little bit more, because it's such a dark colors that we use for the Blackberry. I just felt that it needed it, so I said, what could happen? And we're just having fun, we're just relaxing, and of course I always go a bit too much with the Sharpie. Now I am going on top of the darkness that I had with dark purple, PC 931. Dark purple and indigo blue, and the Prismacolor pencils are going to create a pseudo black, but it's a transparent black. So don't use the black pencil, just use these two, and that will give it more depth. So now every single one of those seeds is gonna get some of the PC 931 dark purple. Every single one of them. Why? Because remember, these seeds are a little bit indented into the strawberry. So that's what we're going for. We're gonna make it as if they are pushed into the strawberry. So that will need a little bit of pencil on every single one of the seeds. It takes a little bit of time, but it is fun and it is entertaining. And once you start seeing how your image is starting to look better and better, you're gonna see that it is not talent. It is not 10 years of school that you went to. It is steps. I have no talent, but I can follow steps. So just follow every one of the steps and stop whenever you want to. And this image was fine just with Copic. Now, if you want to do more, then you can start doing these techniques. I am using expressed paper. It takes some pencil. It doesn't take a lot, but it's fine for all the little details. And I'm going again. I am trying to give an edge to every single one of the seeds. So I went around it first, and now I'm just gonna go on one side and do a little bit more, because remember, this is an organic living strawberry, so it's not gonna be exact. It's gonna have a little bit more on this side. It's gonna be more push into the strawberry on one side or on the other, and you can see it in the photo reference. Okay, now we're gonna go with the white. Why? Because when you indent something on the sides, it's gonna look a little bit shiny. Why? Because it's coming up. The light is hitting that little part. So around every single one of the pots, right outside where we put the dark purple, we're gonna use the white. The white again is from Prismacolor Pencils, PC 938. And don't go very hard. It's very light touch. Do not push too hard, because then you're not gonna have a lot of tooth in the paper to be able to add more color. Now, do you see how it looks right now on the left of the strawberry and how it looks on the right? The one on the left looks more done. Kind of like when you put on makeup. Like you put on makeup and you look done. This is it for the strawberry. It looks that it has more depth, as if it's more real. And I love that about the strawberry. So this time you got to learn a few techniques One, underpainting. Two, flicking away from the underpainting and making sure that you don't go all the way to the other pots. Like, kind of like in kindergarten, you're learning to color inside the lines. Then you also learn to push with the pencils, which is overpainting. And you're learning to pull with also with the pencils. So now I saw like little hairs in the strawberry. So I am using, I think the color is jasmine. Let me see. Yes, it's jasmine. It's PC 1012 jasmine, also from Prismacolor Pencils, just to give it a little bit more of depth, a little bit more details, a little bit more texture. Anything you think you can add, it will always give it a little bit more character. Now we're going with green. I am using Prussian green, PC 109. I'm just giving a little bit of darkness to the corners of the leaf. Is it a leaf? No, it's a stem. I think it's a stem. So, and now I am using dark purple. Dark purple is going to make a little bit of the darkness on the sides, as if it's going, it's not going rotten, but it's going a little bit dark. Now we're gonna use a little bit of the white because I also saw like it had a little bit of like some hair in it. So that is going to give it that texture. Don't forget to download this image. You have the image, you have the finished project, you have the digital image, and you also have the photo reference. So you can always be looking at it when you are coloring. That's what I'm doing. I am looking at it. I have it on my computer in huge, so I can look at every single little thing. Right here, you see where I am overpainting and making it look a little bit far because the blackberry is on top of the strawberry. You always just look at your image again and say, okay, I think it needs a little bit more. This is it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's a long video, but I wanted to show you with detail all these techniques. My name is Elena, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Do you love watching us swatch Copic markers? Do you want to make your own swatches? Head on over to violettaink.com/downloads, where you can download 2 different butterfly swatch papers. Check it out.